When my uncle sent me that video, I felt my whole world tilt on its axis. There they were, my parents and my brother Thomas, sitting around our old kitchen table in Phoenix, talking about me as if I was nothing more than a burden. The familiar Arizona sun streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow that felt like a mockery of the cold words being spoken. "Lindsay only helps because she owes us," my mother said, her voice dripping with contempt. "After everything we've done for her, paying the mortgage is the least she can do." My brother Thomas chimed in with a smirk. "Yeah, and she acts like she's doing us some huge favor. What a joke." The worst part was my father's quiet nod of agreement. The man who had once taught me to ride a bike and helped me with my math homework now sat there, allowing them to tear me down. The video was shaky, clearly taken without their knowledge, but their words came through crystal clear. I watched it 3 times, each viewing filling me with a strange mix of numbness and clarity. For the past 4 years, I'd been making substantial payments on their mortgage through my LLC, Divine Investments. They thought they were making payments to a bank, never bothering to read the fine print of the agreement my financial advisor had helped arrange. Every month, they made their small contribution while I covered the bulk of the payment, all while they complained about my minimal help. My Uncle Jason's message came right after. "You needed to see this, Lindsay." I couldn't stay quiet anymore. They've been talking like this for months. I sat in my home office staring at the spreadsheets detailing every payment I'd made. The numbers didn't lie, over $200,000 invested in keeping them comfortable in that house. My hands should have been shaking with anger, but instead they were steady as I pulled up the mortgage agreement. A small smile played at my lips as I remembered the purchase option clause my financial advisor had insisted on including. "Just in case," she'd said. Looking back, I wonder if she knew something like this might happen. The next payment was due in 2 weeks, and for the first time, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I picked up my phone and typed a simple message to my uncle. "Thank you for showing me the truth. Don't worry, I won't let them know you sent this, but things are about to change." I've always been the family's safety net, though they'd never admit it. 4 years ago, when the housing market in Phoenix crashed and they were on the verge of losing their home, I stepped in. I was 27 then, already successful in my career as a software development manager. The irony was that they never approved of my career choice. They wanted me to take over my father's struggling real estate business instead. "Software is no career for a woman," my mother would say, her lips pursed in disapproval. "Your brother Thomas is the one with the real business sense." Yet Thomas, with all his business sense, had nearly bankrupted the family company within 2 years of taking over. When they needed help with the mortgage, I consulted my financial advisor, Kate. She suggested a creative solution. Create an LLC, buy the house through it, and let them think they're still dealing with a bank? That way, you protect yourself legally while helping them. It seemed perfect at the time. I could help without dealing with their pride. The arrangement worked smoothly. Divine Investments, LLC became their mortgage holder, and I supplemented their monthly payments without them knowing. They maintained their dignity, and I kept my family stable. My Uncle Jason was the only one who knew the truth, having overheard Kate and me discussing it at a family gathering. "You're too good to them, Lindsay," he'd said then. "They don't deserve your kindness." I defended them, of course. Their family. They might not understand my choices, but they've always given me a home. Now, watching that video for the 4th time, I realized how wrong I'd been. Their words played on repeat in my mind. She owes us. What a joke. The least she can do. Each phrase felt like a knife twisting deeper. I opened my laptop and logged into the LLC's account. The next mortgage payment was due on the 15th, just 2 weeks away. They'd never been late before, always transferring their portion like clockwork. But now, knowing how they really felt, I had no intention of covering the rest this time. Let them face the consequences of their ingratitude. Let them deal with the bank on their own. They had no idea that their daughter, the worthless burden, was actually their landlord. The thought brought a smile to my face. Sometimes karma needs a little push. The video wasn't the end of it. My Uncle Jason sent me more evidence the next day. Screenshots of family group chat messages I'd been deliberately excluded from. They'd created it 6 months ago, appropriately named Family Finances. Each message felt like another betrayal, deeper than the last. Lindsay thinks she's so special with her tech job, Thomas had written. She barely helps with the mortgage while I'm here every day running Dad's business. My mother's response made my blood run cold. We should ask her for more money. She's single with no kids. What else does she spend it on? After all we sacrificed to raise her, she can't even properly support her family. I pulled up my financial records, hands trembling slightly as I calculated the total. Over the past 4 years, I'd contributed $267,843 toward their mortgage through Divine Investments, while they'd only paid $52,157. They thought their $1,100 monthly payments to the bank were the bulk of the mortgage. They had no idea I was covering the additional $5,400 every month. My phone buzzed. A message from my mother. Sweetie, could you come to dinner this Sunday? We need to discuss something important. I knew exactly what that something was. They were planning to ask for more money, probably with emotional manipulation and guilt-tripping as side dishes. The thought of sitting there, pretending I didn't know what they really thought of me, made my stomach turn. I called Kate, my financial advisor. I need to know my options with the purchase agreement. I had a feeling you might, she said, not sounding surprised at all. Remember that clause we included? If they miss a payment, Divine Investments can exercise the purchase option immediately. The house would be yours outright, and they'd become month-to-month tenants. A plan started forming in my mind. And if they were late with rent? Standard Arizona eviction laws would apply. You'd be within your rights to give them notice. She paused. Lindsay, are you sure you want to go this route? I thought about years of condescension, of being the family ATM while they mocked me behind my back. I thought about Thomas running our father's business into the ground while they praised his business sense. I thought about every snide comment about my career, my life choices, my supposed obligations to them. Yes, I replied, my voice steady. I'm sure, but I won't tell them anything yet. Let them think everything's normal for now. I texted my mother back. Of course I'll come to dinner. Looking forward to it. The heart emoji felt ironic, but necessary. After all, they'd taught me well. Sometimes the best revenge requires a perfect poker face. The next mortgage payment was due in 13 days, and for the first time since this arrangement began, I wouldn't be there to catch them when they fell. Sunday dinner felt like an exercise in self-control. I arrived at their Phoenix home exactly at 6, the setting sun painting the desert landscape in shades of orange and purple. The house, my house technically, looked exactly as it had for the past 20 years. The familiar scent of my mother's lasagna wafted through the air, a calculated choice meant to remind me of happier times. Lindsay, sweetheart. My mother rushed to hug me, her designer bracelet catching the light. I noticed it was new, probably purchased with money they should have put toward their mortgage payment due in 9 days. Thomas sat at the dining table, looking smugger than usual in his pressed business casual attire. Hey, sis. Good of you to make time for your family. I smiled, remembering his message about me barely helping. If he only knew that his entire lifestyle depended on my generosity. I always have time for family, I replied, the irony thick in my throat. My father emerged from his study, his reading glasses perched on his nose. He was reviewing some papers that I glimpsed were bank statements. The sight nearly made me laugh. They were preparing their pitch carefully. Before we eat, my mother began, setting down the lasagna, we wanted to talk about something important. She glanced at my father, who nodded encouragingly. Of course, I said, serving myself a portion. What's on your mind? Thomas cleared his throat. Well, as you know, Dad's business has been facing some challenges. The real estate market isn't what it used to be. I took a bite of lasagna, chewing slowly. The business had been facing challenges ever since Thomas took over, despite the Phoenix market being stronger than ever. We've been thinking, my mother continued, reaching for my hand across the table, about how blessed we are to have such a successful daughter. Your father and I sacrificed so much to give you a good education. I watched her performance with newfound clarity. The gentle touch, the reminder of their sacrifices. It was all so carefully choreographed. The mortgage payment has become quite a burden, my father added, his voice carrying that particular tone of paternal authority he'd always used to make me feel small. And with you doing so well in your computer work. Software development, I corrected automatically, though they'd never bothered to understand the difference. Right, he waved dismissively. Well, we thought perhaps you could help more with the monthly payments. After all, this is your family home too. If they only knew how much of it was already mine. We're only asking for an extra $2,000 a month, my mother added quickly. It's not much considering your salary. I took another bite of lasagna, using the moment to maintain my composure. They wanted $2,000 more when they didn't even know I was already paying over $5,000? The audacity was almost impressive. I'll think about it, I said finally, my voice neutral. Times are a bit uncertain right now. Uncertain? Thomas scoffed. Please, we all know you're doing fine. Unlike some of us who are actually working hard to keep this family's legacy alive. I smiled, thinking about the notification their bank would send when they missed their payment next week. You're right, Thomas. Sometimes we all get exactly what we deserve. After dinner, I excused myself to use the bathroom, but took a deliberate detour past my father's study. The door was ajar, and I could hear my parents and Thomas talking in hushed voices. I paused, my heart pounding as their words drifted out. She's not going to help, Thomas said, his voice bitter. Did you see how she just sat there, acting all superior with her tech money while our business is struggling? Patience, my father replied. We have another option. Remember those investment documents I found in her cloud storage when she used our Wi-Fi last month? She's been hiding money from us in some company called Divine Investments. My blood ran cold. They'd snooped through my files during my last visit. I'd carelessly used their Wi-Fi without a VPN, and my cloud storage had synced automatically. I looked it up, my father continued. It's a legitimate LLC and it's doing very well. She's been squirreling away money there instead of helping her family. I raised a snake. My mother's voice chimed in. We'll give her one more chance to help voluntarily. If not, I'll remind her about that time in college when she took money from your business account for her tuition. She thought we never knew, but we have proof. She'll have to help us then. I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. The money they were talking about? I'd borrowed it with my father's permission when their check for my tuition bounced. I'd even paid it back within a month, with interest. I had emails proving everything. Their attempted blackmail was as pathetic as it was desperate. And if that doesn't work, Thomas added, we can always reach out to her company's HR department, ask some questions about her mental stability, maybe suggest she's been stealing company resources for personal projects. That would get their attention. The casual way they discussed destroying my career sent ice through my veins. These people weren't family. They were parasites wearing family masks. I quietly slipped back to the bathroom, flushed the toilet for show, then returned to the dining room. They filed back in moments later, all wearing practiced smiles. Lindsay, dear, my mother said sweetly, have you given any thought to what we discussed? About helping more with the mortgage? I met her gaze steadily. Actually, I have. You're right. Family should help family. I'll have an answer for you in about 8 days. The timing wasn't random. Their mortgage payment was due in 8 days, and I knew exactly what would happen when they missed it. Divine Investments would finally reveal its true ownership. 8 days? Thomas frowned. Why such a specific timeline? I stood up, gathering my purse. Just need to check some things with my financial advisor. You understand, right? Being careful with money is just good business sense. I smiled at Thomas as I echoed their favorite phrase. My mother walked me to the door, pulling me into another calculated hug. We knew you'd understand, sweetheart. Family always comes first. Yes, I agreed, thinking of the eviction notice I'd already drafted. Family always gets exactly what they deserve. As I drove home, I called my Uncle Jason. You were right about them, I said when he answered. But don't worry, I'm done playing the silent partner in their little drama. It's time for the final act. The week crawled by with excruciating slowness. My family kept up their pressure campaign, sending daily texts about their urgent financial situation. Each message only strengthened my resolve. I forwarded everything to Kate, my financial advisor, who was helping me prepare for the inevitable confrontation. The paperwork is ready, Kate confirmed during our meeting 3 days before the payment was due. Once they miss the payment, Divine Investments can exercise its purchase option immediately. I've also prepared the eviction notices just in case. I nodded, reviewing the documents. And you're sure everything's legally sound? They can't fight this? They signed the agreement 4 years ago, Kate assured me. Your father barely read it. He was too desperate for the bailout. Everything's perfectly legal. That evening, my brother launched his own attack. Hey sis, his text read. I was just talking to my friend in tech recruitment. Heard some companies are doing layoffs. Must be scary for you. Good thing you have family to fall back on. Speaking of which, about that help we discussed. The attempted manipulation was so transparent it was almost comical. I showed the message to my Uncle Jason over coffee the next day. They never change, he said, shaking his head. Your aunt and I watched them do this to everyone in the family. It's why we distanced ourselves years ago. Did you know they went through my files when I visited? I asked. Not surprised. They did the same to your cousin when she stayed there last year. They're always looking for leverage. He paused. Are you ready for the fallout? They won't take this well. I thought about their threats to contact my company's HR, their plans to blackmail me, their years of taking my help while mocking me behind my back. I'm ready. They made their choice. Now they'll face the consequences. 2 days before the payment was due, my mother called. Lindsay, we need your answer about the mortgage help. Times are tough, and family needs to stick together. Don't worry, Mom, I replied, my voice steady. Everything will be clear very soon. That night, I received an email from the family's bank. They'd tried to transfer money from their account to Divine Investments, but the payment had bounced. They were already overdrawn. I forwarded the notification to Kate. Here we go, she replied. Want me to start the proceedings tomorrow? I thought about the lasagna dinner, their smug faces, their casual discussion of destroying my career. I thought about the years of manipulation, the constant demands, the endless ingratitude. No, I typed back. Let's wait until the payment officially fails. Let them spend the next 2 days thinking everything's fine. They taught me well. Timing is everything. I opened my laptop and began drafting an email to my company's HR department, documenting my family's threats and including the evidence Uncle Jason had gathered. Better to get ahead of their potential attacks. The end was in sight, and I was leaving nothing to chance. Sometimes, I muttered to myself, the best revenge is simply letting people face the consequences of their own actions. The payment deadline came and went. At 9 a.m. sharp, Divine Investments' automated system sent out its default notice. I watched my phone, counting down the seconds until the inevitable call. It took exactly 12 minutes. Lindsay, my mother's voice was frantic. Something's wrong with our mortgage payment. The bank is saying we defaulted, but that's impossible. We need your help immediately. Actually, I replied calmly, Divine Investments isn't a bank. It's an LLC, my LLC to be specific. The silence on the other end was deafening. What? She finally whispered. Check your email. You'll find a notice explaining that due to your default, Divine Investments is exercising its purchase option. The house is now legally mine. Your status has been changed to month-to-month tenants. This is a joke, she stammered. No joke. I've been covering the majority of your mortgage for 4 years while you all mocked me behind my back, called me a burden, plotted to blackmail me, threatened my career. How did you... Uncle Jason showed me the video. He showed me everything. Now, about your tenancy. Your first rent payment is due in 30 days. I suggest you start looking for somewhere else to live. My father's voice suddenly broke in. They'd put me on speaker. You ungrateful... Careful, I cut him off. Is that any way to talk to your landlord? The eviction notice is ready. Don't make me serve it sooner than planned. I ended the call and blocked their numbers. Within minutes, my email began filling with messages from flying monkeys, distant relatives and family friends telling me I was being cruel, that family should forgive family. I deleted them all without reading them. Some debts can't be paid with forgiveness. 3 months later, I stood in the empty house, my footsteps echoing through the vacant rooms. My family had finally moved out last week, forced to downsize to an apartment across town. They'd tried everything, threats, guilt trips, legal challenges, but in the end, the documents were ironclad. They had no choice but to accept reality. Thomas's attempt to contact my company's HR had backfired spectacularly. Thanks to my preemptive documentation and Uncle Jason's evidence, his accusations were dismissed immediately. Instead, his actions were reported to his real estate board, leading to an ethics investigation that effectively ended his career. My mother's final attempt at manipulation came through a tear-filled voicemail. How could you do this to your own family? The answer was simple. They'd shown me exactly what family meant to them, and I'd finally believed them. I walked through the kitchen where it had all started, where they'd sat around the table calling me worthless while I paid their bills. The irony wasn't lost on me. Uncle Jason and his wife were coming over later to help me prepare the house for sale. The proceeds would go to establishing a foundation for helping victims of financial abuse. Something good could come from this, after all. My phone buzzed with a text from Kate. Just heard from their lawyer. They're finally signing the last papers. It's really over. I smiled, looking around at the empty house one last time. They'd taught me that family always comes first, but they'd never specified which family. I chose myself, and for the first time in years, that felt exactly right.